I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to talk about the month of December, which now we have the Christmas season upon us. And with the feeling of coming together, people are wanting and needing to feel better and more connected to each other. We will see this because of Rahu and Ketu, their placements. Rahu is in the sign of Cancer and Ketu is in the sign of Capricorn. Cancer is a sign of family, so people want to feel connected through a sense of family. And Rahu and Ketu will remain in these signs for all the way till the spring of 2019. So you're going to see more and more a sense of pulling together, feeling connected, or the need to. And when people don't feel connected, they're going to search for this sense of connectedness, which can come through cults and leaders that somehow give people a sense of togetherness, empower other people, but in the sense it is for their own power. So we're going to talk a lot about the evolvement of this cult consciousness that's coming about over the course of the next year, year and a half. So I want to talk about the beginning of this month because it starts out pretty powerfully. Because the end of November and the very beginning of December, we have earth changes that are brewing, that are really coming to the surface because you're going to see more volcanic eruptions and more earthquakes. I'm saying now that the year of 2018 will be the year of earthquakes. Just as I said last year was more about hurricanes, this is the year that things are going to start stirring up with the brewings and feelings of earthquakes. And this can be literal as well as figurative, because another thing that I see coming up in the year of 2018 is going to be attempted assassinations all around the world. I don't think this is going to come into play as being actual assassinations, but attempts on religious leaders as well as political leaders all over the world. But December 3rd is an important date because this day we have the full moon and Mercury goes retrograde. And on top of that, Jupiter and Neptune will be in an exact trine on that day. So a lot is surfacing. The Jupiter-Neptune trine have everything to do with spirituality, the advancement of spirituality, the need to feel connected through the divine source of a power beyond. And this is another reason why cults and things of this nature will be on the rise. But another thing that will be on the rise, well, there will be so many groups that portray spirituality. And Neptune rules films, cameras, movies, so you're going to find more of an onslaught of videos, shows that will depict true spirituality. There's going to be more books out on spirituality, people talking about real life experiences where they have actually been enlightened. Instead of fictional stories, we're going to see real life stories of people that have passed to the other side and come back and can tell us what is on the other side. So you're going to see this onslaught of spiritual movies and things that move and empower our souls. People are looking for a sense of purpose and meaning in an ephemeral world where things are never going to remain the same. Nothing is constant. Everything is always changing. And people, because of this, have a certain sense of fear. And they're looking for things that are going to give them a sense of security in this world. And so you're going to find more self-help books and different ways of learning and techniques to connect more with our inner spirit and to find different ways and tools and techniques to get more connected to our spirit, and also how to improve ourselves. Lots of self-improvement, motivational speakers, motivational books. These are going to be on the rise throughout this year, but beginning in December, you're going to see an onslaught of this and an awakening, because Uranus, which is the planet of awakenings, it's called the Great Awakener. Uranus is almost exactly opposed Mars this month, and that's going to be where I think the brewings and the upheavals of earthquakes are bound to hit the world. And I have previously predicted that I thought that these earthquakes would be more prevalent on the West Coast in the United States. Yes, this will be where I think is going to be the most activity, probably northeast of Los Angeles. That's what my predictions are. But many of you that live in California become frightened and afraid. The way that you can really understand if the earthquake is going to affect you individually is to look at your individual chart. If it's not in the chart, you're fine. And for the most part, earthquakes, and these earthquakes will have a very destructive force on structures and land, and not necessarily people. So this is something I want you to bear in mind. Plus, you know, looking at your own chart is very important. So the whole spiritual realm and awakening is so important throughout 2018, but watch how it really starts to come about in the beginning of this month, December 3rd, because not only is Jupiter and Neptune in a trine, but Mercury turns retrograde and the moon is full. So when the moon is full, it brings things to awareness. But Mercury turning retrograde, it retrogrades in Sagittarius and will spend most of its retrograde in the sign of Scorpio. When Mercury turns retrograde, it will be 5 degrees of Sagittarius, and it will turn direct the 22nd of December at 18 degrees of Scorpio. So it's going to spend most of the time in Scorpio. But while Mercury is in Sagittarius, it is very close to Saturn. And while Mercury is conjunct Saturn this month, this represents a seriousness, a solemn mood around the world, of people really taking note of what's to come. There's fear, there's anxiety, because there's a sense of impending doom, although it is more about the Saturn and the fear. And this is due to the fact that Saturn is nearing Pluto. The whole time it's transiting over the course of the next 2 years, it will come together with Pluto. As it approaches, you're going to see more of a breakdown in different governments around the world. New governments will come into being, and old ones will disintegrate that are outdated, outworn, of the past. So you're going to see these entire revelations and revolutions in countries to take down their governments to have a new government reborn. And with K2 transiting in the sign of Capricorn, we do know there is going to be a demise of major governments and leaders throughout the world, and assassination attempts. So another thing that's going to be happening this month is Venus. Once Venus transits into the sign of Scorpio, where it will be for the most part of the month, especially the beginning part of the month, Venus is in Mars sign, but Mars is in Libra, which is ruled by Venus. So Venus and Mars are going to be in a parivartana yoga, meaning mutual exchange of signs. And Venus-Mars connect to relationships. So it's the month of bringing together and a healing with relationships, powerful relationships, love, romance, healing of relationships that need a healing, that things have been brought up, and attention to heal what was previously wrong with the relationship. So there's many opportunities for relationships. And as Venus transits about the second or third week of December, it will transit into the sign of Sagittarius. While Venus is in Sagittarius about the second week of December to the first few weeks in January, Jupiter is in Libra. So Jupiter is in Venus's sign, and Venus in Sagittarius is in Jupiter's sign. They will exchange signs. And what this will do is anyone, by the way, that has Gemini as their ascendant, they may fall in love, they may get an engagement, they will find true love, because Jupiter will be in their 5th house of love and romance, while Venus is in the 7th house of marriage. So that's a good sign to look for. But even if your ascendant isn't Gemini, the fact that Venus and Jupiter exchange signs is a very good indicator of love and romance that fills the air, people wanting to come together. So let's talk a little bit about Mercury retrograde, because every time Mercury goes retrograde, everyone wants to know. Because what does it do? Computers break down. There's going to be delays if you're traveling, flying, mechanicals, absent-mindedness, miscommunications. Make sure that you make yourself clear when you're communicating with others. And before you leave the house, make sure you've got your keys or your phone. Things will happen that are absent-minded. But as Mercury transits back into the sign of Scorpio, Scorpio is the sign of emotion, of feeling. And this is going to be a month of deep emotional feelings all around the world, because on top of this, being in this intense emotion-provoking sign of Scorpio, Mercury there brings up a lot of instances from the past, old memories of problems in relationships. And I don't just mean love relationships, I mean friends and family. These, you will have an opportunity to revisit some old feelings that you can heal so that you can move on for a better family relationship or friends relationship. Another thing that's happening this month is there is the Kala Sarpa Yoga, which the Kala Sarpa Yoga will be in effect from December 7th through the 23rd. And the Kala Sarpa Yoga is when all the planets, excluding the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are within the angles or the axes of Rahu and Ketu. So when all the planets are contained within the axes of Rahu and Ketu on one side, this means there is a fated destiny. Something very specific that can change the course of our lives as humanity will occur during the Kala Sarpa Yoga. So watch with these powerful events that are transpiring during this time that will shift awareness and shift the direction that humanity is headed. Another thing that is coming up is that throughout 2018, but especially right now, there will be more disease. And more disease is infiltrating, and problems and epidemics could occur over the course of the next year. So make sure that you take care of yourself and make sure you get a lot of rest and beef up your immune system during this year. Another thing that I see happening throughout this year is going to be a whole trend towards the cults. And as I was talking about, these cults are very, very powerful, because let me remind you what a cult entails. A cult means that there is someone who controls other people's minds and consciousness. And how do they do that? Well, what's interesting is I was forced to really analyze the phenomena of cults and cult leaders with the recent passing of Charles Manson. Charles Manson was absolutely out of his mind, but he had followers that believed wholeheartedly in him, and he directed them to do the most horrible things. How does this happen? So when I really analyzed what is the makings of a cult, I came to realize that it's when someone finds people that don't have a sense of belonging. They feel isolated. They feel alienated. They don't have family. And when somebody can give them a sense of family, get them to feel powerful. So it's essentially someone that's powerless, that has no sense of power about themselves, that attaches themselves to someone that appears powerful. And in that instance, the powerful one makes the powerless ones feel special, makes them feel special, makes them feel understood, makes them feel connected. You're part of the family. And once people feel this togetherness, for those that felt so empty, it becomes like an addiction. Because what happens essentially is they have this surge of feeling power where they haven't before. And this surge of power that they're feeling through the connection of this cult, through the connection of this leader, this surge of power becomes addictive, and they will leave everything to have this sense of feeling connected to others and all powerful. So this is what the cult leaders, they make them feel special and heard, connected. This is what they do. And so my whole point with bringing all of this up is that organizations like ISIS will come about and be stronger because people are searching and need that feeling of connection, feeling family. Remember, Rahu, while it transits in the sign of Cancer, will give this need to feel family and connection. But remember that the thing that we must always look for is the fact that we need to feel our sense of power or empowerment through our inner spirit, because that's where the true sense of power comes from. So it's positive and good to empower other people, and that's a sense of true power, because power doesn't come from the ego sense of your greatness. True power comes from empowering others, inspiring others to be the best that they can be with their gifts and their talents. Instead of controlling others, you give them the power to have control back in their lives. See, this is true power, and this is going to be the pulling and the fighting against of humanity coming together with giving back a sense of power and finding that power within us through our own divine spirit. And that's what will make us feel whole and complete. And that's where the ultimate trends of humanity will evolve through over the course of the next year. So true power is to empower others. Going back to the transits and what to expect this month, we have the sun and moon. The new moon will come together in Sagittarius, and it will be with Saturn. So there's a heaviness, there's a seriousness, there's a sense of purpose that's coming about. And in the sign of Sagittarius, Sagittarius is the sign of fanatical religious trends. So you're going to find more fanaticism, especially around religious trends. So steer clear of those, and remember that you have your own sense of power within you and your divine spirit that connects to all that is. So Mars is going to be coming together with Jupiter, while Jupiter is at the midpoint of Rahu and Ketu this month. And what that will do, Jupiter will actually be at the exact midpoint of Rahu and Ketu December 24th. And this will bring up more of the rumblings in the earth, more of what's to come for the next year in terms of the rise of earthquakes and major shifts and awakenings this year. So Mercury, as I said, will finally turn direct on December 22nd. So you'll see a lot of things start to move forward. And all of those Christmas presents that maybe you bought when Mercury was retrograde, you might have to return some of them. So this is a powerful month of events brewing, coming to the surface. And that goes for volcanic eruptions. It deals with anger. It deals with trends with cults and families. Relationships are so important while Mercury and Venus exchange signs early on in the month. But this is an amazing month for spiritual development and opening and a new understanding of the world and how we connect and how we have a sense of purpose. Sense of purpose will be one of the most powerful things that comes out of this coming next year. So we are in preparation for 2018. This will be a monumental year of radical shifts, radical changes. Humanity will not be the same as we complete this next year to come. So with that, I'd like to close, and I hope to give you the best of the Christmas season, to feel a sense of togetherness and to feel a sense of connection and giving. So this Christmas season will be full of these positive energies. So if you would like to learn more about me and my work, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Or if you would love to learn Vedic astrology, I am starting a brand new class for the beginners of the entire course. We'll begin again in January 17th, 2018. You can go for all the details on my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.